Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Let's Get Real to Heal podcast. In today's episode, we are going to explore more about this campaign and the mission about it. Before going on to the campaign, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Joelle Samaha, who is the visionary behind this campaign and this initiative. Hello, Dr. Joelle.
Hi, Vandana. So I'm glad, first of all, that our first podcast, which is like pretty spontaneous and it's our first, so there is a bit of tension and I think it will ease up with time.
True.
But having been working with you for the last 3 years, I think eases it up. So let me start by saying, to introduce myself, that I'm Joelle, and I would say I'm on a healing self-healing, self-discovery journey, and it's ongoing. I hold a PhD in philosophy of health and well-being. Then later on, I delved into life coaching, counseling, and I'm a hypnotherapist for the last 15 years. NLP practitioner, breath work, and somatic exercises are tools that I've been passionate about. And today I would love to bring all that expertise into that campaign of Let's Get Real to Heal. We have started it at Philolife Wellbeing Education Center, and I'm so excited to start the first podcast and to be able to bring more guests and more expertise for me to learn and for other people, for everyone to be able to benefit out of this campaign.
True. We are super excited about this campaign as well.
Great.
So, what exactly inspired you to launch Philolife Wellbeing Education Center, and what is in behind name Philolife Wellbeing?
Exactly. It's Philolife means philo comes from feline, which is love, and life is love of life. This word has been chosen back in 2019, just before COVID hit, and that was a dream coming true, I would say, because while working on my PhD thesis in 2015, I had mentioned that my dream would be to kind of be able to start a center where I can help teenagers and adults find love of life and be able to guide people who lost that spark to kind of like work on it in order to promote a better state of health and well-being. And this is what it's all about. And I would say that on the other side, Philolife is a very precious word for me because I think it holds a message that my dad had left behind in 2011 when he passed away. He was diagnosed with cancer in June 2011 and he passed in 2011 as well, September. So 3 months, he couldn't really have the time to even battle the disease. But his last words on the day he passed were like, "Life is beautiful. I wish I knew it earlier." And that did leave a mark in me. And this is where I've also realized that he had lost that love of life, being like swirled in, the on the train of life when you get too overwhelmed with the stress and the responsibilities, etc., and it feels like you're just stuck in a loop. So and I think after he passed, I always wanted, and I always got that sentence back in my head, and I was like, I need to do something about it, because if people were able to have that realization earlier in time, they would enjoy their life much more and they would be able to find healing before anything spirals into physical disease and symptoms.
So this was the inspiration behind this.
Yes, I would say my father is behind Philolife, is behind the campaign. Now, the other side of it as well that we need to mention is the philosophical background. So philosophy has been my passion since I was 15 years old. So So that is also something that I wanted to bring to people. I remember sitting in the classes and telling my teachers, I was quite a rebel on the thought levels. So I would tell them, like, I want to bring philosophy to people. Why is it only the elite who have access to philosophy? It is so useful on a practical level.
Even for common laymen, I think philosophy needs to be...
Exactly, especially for kids and teenagers. That was something I was passionate about. So looking at where I stand today with Philo Life, offering the workshops to teenagers, to kids, to adults, and tailoring a type of coaching that kind of questions the vision of life, the philosophy of life. Because I would say that healing is a process, but it's a way of living as well. It's altering your way of living to be able to make changes on your physical and emotional level.
100% true.
So this is why overall Philo Life is coming from a personal experience, from an academic perspective as well, and is coming out of my passion for philosophy.
So, Dr. Joelle, you just spoke about your father's cancer and the journey associated with that, right? Like, how did that change your perspective towards health and well being?
That's very true. I do. I would love to honor his soul today, specifically because of launching this campaign and realizing as well how important it is for me to give back to the community and try to spread more awareness about the link between mind and body and how we can prevent disease rather than treat disease, and that's something we're going to tackle later on. But I would say that definitely in 2011, in June 2011, I still remember after the Father's Day in Lebanon, we celebrate Father's Day and around 21st of on 21st of June. And I remember that was the first time I did not wish him a happy Father's Day. For some reason, we were very busy and he had headaches, etc. And he was diagnosed after a couple of days. So I remember how devastating it was and how much I was in denial about the whole thing. I had taken life for granted. I had lost my grandmother before, a couple of friends, unfortunately. But at the same time, it never hit me that at the age of 59, my father could be diagnosed with cancer, especially because he was leading a regular, normal life, going to work. So that was really devastating. And I remember stepping into the doctor's cabinet and arguing with him, like, what could it be? It could be something else. And are you sure? And I was in denial at that time. But I think it really shook me. It shook me at the core because at the end he was in stage 4. So they were telling us there is nothing.
So he was diagnosed at stage 4.
Stage 4, despite that there were no main symptoms besides his headaches and neck pain. So I think we all went into a shock very quickly. And I would say that seeing his first month of treatment and taking him to the hospital and all, and he was the type who would not like, to spread the word about what he's going through. So we had to create a private setup for him. At the same time, I was under the pressure of applying for my PhD thesis. So I had to come up with a plan for the thesis. And all I was living at that time was diagnosis and prognosis. And I was looking into papers and documents, and I wanted to take charge. And life felt like I was in control, but at that moment, I had lost control, and that was really destabilizing. So I would say that my interest in philosophy of health and well-being and the holistic approach to health and well-being started at that time because I didn't know what to do to help. He was sometimes not wanting to go to the hospital for the chemotherapy or whatever, and I would tell him, you have the full right to say no. And I would remember him saying, then what? Because the doctors were saying, like, he needs to do it, and otherwise they can't even give him painkillers later on at a later stage when things would be complicated. So, and I started researching all the alternative approach.
You mean alternative medications?
Yeah, or not medications, as an alternative medicine, like what could help him that would not be chemical. To ease up the pain or to prepare for the next stage, etc. So I found myself sitting on books between understanding the disease, wondering why my dad, how did his upbringing affect him, because he had quite a traumatic childhood with his father passing away at an early age. His way of looking at life, whether it is from a negative or positive perspective, all these things were questioned at that time. So starting to work on research and bringing together something that could help my father and at the same time make me feel that I was using the time in a productive way. So I came up with a study which was focused on the French philosopher Georges Canguilhem, who approaches disease and health differently and speaks about treating a patient as a whole rather than trying to dissect. And I started delving into the approaches of disease. What is a disease? What is normal? What is pathological? And then I've realized as well that, back in time when it was more about the scientific emergence of science, etc. So the disease came into being related to what could be put under the microscope, and then it became more related to what a physical disease could be. And this is where I think medicine took a turn in terms of approaching a disease as a physical disease. But if you look back into even the Greek philosophy and Hippocrates, he was the father of medicine, disease was approached not like an enemy. It was approached as in how is it thriving in the body, and that we are participating into the creation of the disease, and that the environment and the adaptability to the environment and the way we go through chronic stress for a very long time could affect it. I was fascinated at that time. I didn't know if I'm going to get answers to what my father was going through. I didn't know if I'm going to find solutions, but that was anyway too quick, because in 3 months' time I had initiated my thesis and my father passed away. And on the day he passed away, the coincidence is he woke me up at 5:30, and I still carried this for a very long time, because he woke me up and said, "Get up and finish your thesis work." And I was like, how will I finish it? I just applied for the acceptance at the university with that project, which was about health and disease. And I looked at him, and later on, when he passed on the same day, I've realized it was like a push for me to never stop seizing, the PhD first, the mission second, and even the publication of the thesis, which has happened later on in 2015 by the very reputed French publisher L'Harmattan, which is more of an academic book that has been published. So I would say my father's diagnosis and my father passing has changed and shifted my life in terms of career, in terms of mission, in terms of how I started perceiving health.
So the perspective has completely changed, right?
Definitely. After he passed, I had to kind of like question everything from the medical industry to where we live, where we stand, to what is taken for granted, to where I want to stand, etc.
Okay, so my next question is, Doctor, how does this holistic approach towards health and well-being a part of Let's Get Real to Heal?
In fact, it is very important to mention at this stage that when we speak about Let's Get Real to Heal, it's already in a direction of holistic health and well-being. Okay. Because I would say it's an invitation to remove the mask, to delve in, to see within, and to kind of like look around and see how is my environment affecting my health and my well-being. I would say the first indicator for disease should be that I'm unhappy, because being unhappy for a very long time means something is not sitting well within me, something is not adapting to the environment, and on long term this is going to manifest on a physical level. It is true that we have predisposed genetic predispositions, I would say, but it will not be activated unless we go through very rough traumas and long-term negative emotions and negative chronic stress and anxiety.
So you mean to say the mind and body are connected?
When we speak about mind and body connection in this situation, it's to highlight that there is no healing that could happen on a physical or emotional level unless we get real. And when I say real, real on a subconscious level and on a conscious level, because I could be wanting to heal on a conscious level, but something subconsciously is stopping me from healing, because there is something in the disease or in the turmoil or in the distress that is getting me attention, getting me affection, getting me identity. So this is where I would say there is no way we could heal even a physical symptom. Even with medication, we can kind of control a physical symptom or a physical imbalance, but at the same time, we are not dealing with the core, with the core
The root
disturbance, the root cause that has led to where we are. And I would say when it comes to a physical manifestation of a disease through a symptom, we cannot ignore that symptom, because what the body is trying to do is protect us. And I do believe that there is a life force that is maintaining the balance internally. So whenever that life force is disturbed, it manifests, it communicates through the body. But if I try to suppress it, whether it is eczema, whether it is breathing issues, whatever it is,
Suppressing as in, doctor?
Suppressing as just trying to put cortisone or apply anything on it just to remove the eczema without dealing with the core issue or imbalance that have led to it, then the body will automatically go to a deeper physical issue. So this is why we need to stop. Like, we need to stop rather than numb the pain and ask ourselves, how can I change it? How can I prevent this into escalating and becoming a more profound or a disease or illness?
Okay, so rather the conventional approach would just cure the disease, but to identify or get into the root cause, we need to have a holistic approach. Is that what you're trying to say, doctor?
Yeah, I would say most of the times with medications, it's about controlling the situation or trying to treat the situation. But when we speak about healing, like even when you invest in an insurance
So even the
policy,
conventional doesn't cure?
I would say that it doesn't, if you unless you treat the core behind the initial disease. Then you are not reaching a point of healing.
Okay.
Healing has to happen on a deeper level as well.
Healing
as
is different and curing is different.
That's what I would look at it as. In healing would always involve treating the core issue, and that can only happen with alternative medicine and with the holistic approach to health. And this is why this podcast has been created, in order to invite experts in the holistic well-being industry to be able to give us expertise about how to navigate anxiety, disturbances, heartbreak, grief, trauma, because the trauma, as Dr. Gabor Mate says, the trauma is not causing the disease. It's not being able to process the trauma, to communicate it, to share it, that could cause the disease. So this is why we want to create a safe space for people to be vulnerable. We will invite experts, but we want to invite as well clients who have really been excited about the idea, who want to share that journey. And we can see that a lot of the clients we receive who want to work on themselves have some codependency, sort of codependency. That means, what does codependency means? It means depending on someone or on an external individual to feel worthy, to feel valuable. So today we see that there is something common in the healing journey. This is why Let's Get Real to Heal. Because we need to understand that unless we love ourselves, unless we are able to see worth in ourselves and value, and we're able to prioritize things in a way that I need to fill up my cup first so I can give others later. And this is why Dr. Gabor Mate says that overkindness could be a reason for the disease. So usually we look at people who are overly kind, and we think that these are the healthiest people because they show the smile on their face no matter what, and they show up for you no matter what. But these are people who are compromising on their internal balance, are compromising on their needs and their authenticity. So this is why we need to get real in order to choose ourselves and be healthy for people around us, for our kids, for our spouse, for people around us in general.
Your academic research on philosophy of health and well-being is now published, right? So, which is a commendable achievement, I would say.
Thank you.
So, what exactly led you to this, and how does it resonate with your personal experiences on? And you can talk about your personal journey connecting with your academic research.
Exactly. I would say the academic research and even the publication was a culmination of many years of research of disease, of what is pathological and what is normal, and what a disease is, and what is health, what is prevention as well. When we speak about preventing disease and promoting a health state, a better health state. So I would say that discovering that behind every disease there is an emotional distress was, for me, something that fascinated me, and I wanted to learn more. And today, the more I research, I understand from where every disease comes and what type of thoughts entertained for a very long time how can they create certain beliefs that could activate certain disease and specific disease, as in the body stores energy, stores emotions, and the body deserves that release as well. If we're not aware that we are storing emotions in the body in different parts, that the gut is related to our fear and to our state of well-being. So this is where I would say spreading more awareness about how to take a pause and scan the body, connect, and get to know what is causing me that pain before popping a pill. Because I want to numb the pain, I want to function, I want to be able to function.
Yeah.
If I'm not able to connect with myself and see where is that energy, where are those emotions trapped? And the most fascinating part as well was understanding that the brain can help us heal. And this is where the research of Dr. Jody Spenza is really very, very valuable in terms of like how programming the mind can also help us program the body and set the body into the healing process. So that is one side of it. And at the same time, we can see that with hypnotherapy, and I've been a hypnotherapist for the last 15 years, whether it is, doing it in Arabic, English, or French, helping people to kind of like have control over their pain, shift their physical state, not only their mind state, their emotional state. When it comes to autoimmune disease, fibromyalgia, putting the mind, teaching the mind how to go into a relaxed state, because we are in fight or flight mode most of the times when our nervous system is dysregulated. So how to combine all that knowledge, from how to use a hypnotherapy recording to how to use alternative medicine, to be able to come up with a customized plan for a client to help, achieve the healing they want to achieve. It's not definitely an invitation to drop medication, and, medication is there and it helps in lots of cases, but it's about combining the medical approach, the chemical approach to health, with a more holistic approach to health in order to achieve what we're looking for in terms of healing.
So you come from this holistic approach and background, right? So now that you are into this practice, so can we say that you never undergo this anxiety issues, and you are well aware of, that, okay, this leads to anxiety, this leads to depression, this leads to blood pressure. So now that you are aware of it, can we assume that you have never been under anxiety or depression or something like that?
In fact, when we started the campaign of Let's Get Real to Heal, it came basically from the pain that I had within me of not being able to express and show that I have been through a crisis myself since 2018, since I started getting the onset symptoms of anxiety. And I would say that if I want to link the story, I was doing the research. I was publishing my PhD in 2015, but at the same time, I was very busy having my kids, trying to be the perfect mom, to be the perfect wife, and to research academically, to be very innovative and creative, etc. And in 2018, I woke up one day feeling numbness on my right side of the body, and I couldn't understand at that time what it was, despite coming from a background of psychology and health, etc., I did not imagine that anxiety would feel so physical. I would speak to my clients about it, but feeling it, I straight away felt that, okay, I think this is definitely a serious disease starting. I would stand and feel dizzy. I would have severe pain behind my neck, like a pain on top of my head.
But
So
initially, you did not realize that it was anxiety.
I didn't realize it was anxiety. Despite that, after having 2 kids, one after the other, I wasn't sleeping well. And now when I promote the healing from anxiety and depression, I would say number one factor is sleep. If you're not getting enough sleep, you are prone to anxiety.
Oh.
You are prone to depression as well. So this is where I would say that my journey had started at that time. It took me at least 4 to 5 months to figure out that it is anxiety, despite that professionals around me were telling me that this
could be anxiety.
This is anxiety. But I wanted to do a CT scan, looking at my father passing with cancer.
Okay.
I also had developed a fear from cancer as well. And this is where I have realized that all the pressure that I had put on myself, even delving into the studies, I had ignored my own diagnosis. I had ignored my own reading of who I am, who I have become. And this is where I started discovering that I have been codependent all through. And that I was seeking my worth and my values in the roles I was playing, chasing affection, attention, wanting in any direction to be seen. And that through making compromises, through I was thinking at that time that not asking for my needs is a way of expressing love, while it was not necessarily the case, because when my health spiraled, everyone at home was like stuck. And thank God my mom was there at that time. And I had started questioning everything around me, because I was like, what if I die today? What will happen to my kids? And that was creating more fear and more anxiety. And how will I show up to see clients who are suffering from anxiety while I couldn't manage my own? And the journey at that time, I had to stop working. And I really did stop working for a couple of months, wanting to find my own balance. But I started questioning my beliefs in love, in God, in who I am. And I would say I started realizing how much I was chained in what other people would say and how people looked at me. And this is why I realized at that time that my research had shown that this type of personality is more prone to autoimmune
You mean
disease.
codependent
personalities. And this is why I realized...
So codependent personality, in fact, triggers anxiety, right?
Not trigger anxiety. They have anxious attachments most of the time, but having any codependent traits could lead to being prone to autoimmune disease, especially when you stop prioritizing yourself and your needs and you lose that authenticity. And at that time, I felt I had lost who I am.
Okay.
And I do remember having the one main trip with a friend to Switzerland, and while skiing on the slopes in Switzerland, I started laughing and falling and getting up, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't laughed for a very long time. And I realized that I have lost my true self.
I've heard many people say this actually, that they in fact forgotten how to laugh.
Yeah. And that was a major red flag for me, that I needed to do something. There were things I needed to change in my life. But what I would highlight is that anxiety on long term is about not being able to surrender and wanting to have a certain level of control, which is coming out of insecurity. There is a difference between wanting to control people around me as to choose for them, and wanting that minimum of knowing that everyone is safe, everyone is on the right track. And I would not say that wanting to be in control would help. It's an illusion. And at the end, the way out of anxiety is having faith and flowing with life, understanding that we are here on a mission and whatever needs to happen will happen. saying it is different from believing in it at a stage where everything looks scary and feels scary. But the good thing is, like, I've realized myself that I have been put in that situation to be able to help people later on, because I could spot the anxiety much faster than I used to because I've been through it. And focusing on coming out of it myself and finding a plan for it made me realize that I've put the finger on how to help clients and what therapies and what combinations could help to kind of guide clients out of their anxiety chains and shift their toxic attachment into secure attachments so that they can live the rest of their life kind of like having that spark for life and falling in love with life again, because there is no point living. And I would say the very important thing is, like, we're given a list for happiness. We're given a list at a very early age when we are in our 20s. Like, if you have kids, if you get married, if you have your own business, you will be happy. And then at a certain point, you hold that list of accomplishments and you're wondering, like, where did I go wrong? I followed the book. I went by the book. So why am I standing now feeling so exhausted, so unhappy? And this is where being real, delving in and seeing, what do I need to be happy? And how can I shift my attachment, my childhood attachments and beliefs in order to create the life I want? And this is the real value of healing, of coming out from codependency to feel free. And it's such a beautiful relief at the end when you're able to just kind of like flow with life. And I would say that's wonderful because it changed my parenting style. It changed the way I look at my mother, the way I look at love, the way I look at life. And I do remember that when I had asked for help at that time from a life coach who was online, I really do appreciate him a lot. His name is Kiran, and he will definitely remember me if he hears this podcast. He had really guided me through the anxiety, etc. He had done an exercise with me that I used to sometimes do with my clients, but when it comes to you going through the issues, you forget everything you know. And I remember that he had asked me to close my eyes and imagine that it's my last day, I've passed away. And I was trying to watch who was sitting there at my funerals. And I realized I've been in Dubai for 12 years. So being sent back to be buried in Lebanon, how would it look like? I've lost connection with everyone. I don't know. Close family would be there. But will all the people who I thought were watching me to judge me be sitting there? What would be their opinion? So I started questioning all this. And he had asked me to ask one of my kids to speak about me. And at that time, I had imagined my eldest standing there and speaking about me, saying that I was, so worried, so stressed out. And I didn't like what I heard from him. And I was like, okay, I could see that my kids, if they have to speak about my life, my journey, they will see it as boring, as anxious, as in, very careful. And this is not who I was before I got married and before I went on that journey of motherhood. And I did not want to be remembered like this. And this was a turning point in my journey. And when Kiran had asked me to reimagine myself after many, many years, being older and having accomplished what I wanted the way I wanted. And I imagined then at that time that my little one, the younger one, will be standing in my funerals and will be saying, like, she loved to play guitar and she used to love hiking, and this was mostly me. And I realized that there was a choice I needed to make. The moment I opened my eyes, my life had shifted because I started writing my bucket list and what I wanted to achieve. And who I am was different from who I was at that time. And for that, you need to remove the mask and dare to say, the life I'm living has led me to lose my authenticity. And that is okay. And that is okay. And we all would go through these phases in life. But if we ignore it, we would repeat the cycle. If we don't get the learnings that we have been kind of like hooked to certain toxic attachments, and that we have the right as human beings to say, all right, I have been programmed. I grew up with certain beliefs, but I also have the potential. I have the ability to shift these beliefs and choose the life I want. And that is the beauty of freedom.
So you speak about philosophy. So how did that become a key part of your understanding towards health and well-being, doctor?
This is why when I introduce myself as a philo life coach, it's because I bank on philosophical counseling combined with life coaching. Because I do believe that it's not only about addressing an issue, but it's about creating a philosophy of life. It's about creating a philosophy that feels like you, is authentic, is customized, feels right for you as a person, as an individual. And this is why it's not only about dealing with anxiety, dealing with a physical symptom, or dealing with anxiety, dealing with heartbreak. It's also about reconstructing who you are and who you want to be. And this is where, when we speak about heartbreak, since I've been through a very difficult heartbreak and I know what it feels like, and this is partly, it has led me to this whole campaign. Because when we speak about heartbreak, it is really painful to go through a heartbreak, and as individuals we need to go to work, we need to attend to kids, we need to, and this is where I think it's not highlighted enough that heartbreak is a type of grief, is grieving a person who is no longer available in your life. It's having too much love towards a person who is not there and not knowing what to do with that love. So, and I would say, when I look at my clients who are going through very difficult heartbreak, especially if they have codependent traits, it's like going through a de-addiction, coming out of an addiction to a certain person. So I would say that I started asking myself, like, how many people in Dubai are going through heartbreak or emotional turmoil and are alone without family members? We had clients going through this alone, and sometimes I was concerned. I would drive on Sheikh Zayed and just look at the buildings and would wonder who's collapsing at this moment of time, and what can I do
to them?
How can I help
them?
Because at the end, I've been through a journey, and every part of my journey has led me to become a better life coach, a better hypnotherapist. And this is where I always wondered, how can I give back? And this is from where comes the idea of the healing evenings on Wednesday that we announced last week with the campaign, where we want to open the doors to people to come in if they are feeling lonely, alone, if they want to just maybe have a taste of sound healing, so that, the vibration helps them shift. If they want to speak to other people who are going through the same distress. So we want to create a safe space, not only online. As an online, it's a safe
space, as well as non-judgmental place, right?
Especially non-judgmental, but creating a space as a physical space at the center in Philo Life Wellbeing. So sometimes healing is about, or not necessarily healing, feeling better is all about seeing somebody going through the same struggle, and that person looking at you and saying, like, your pain is real. I do understand. Because even family from abroad or being far away, they would tell you, like, accept, move on, it's okay, it happened. But healing is a unique journey, because it's not about the shock or the trauma that I've been through. It's about
each person's healing journey is different.
Who am I after that shock? Who am I after that trauma? Do I want to be the same person if I've been overkind, if I've been betrayed, if I feel hurt? It's a journey that can take months, sometimes years. And this is where even the forgiveness is a release of negative emotions from the body, can happen or not happen, or can take longer with certain individuals according to the case. So supporting people through this initiative and being able, through podcasts, through reels, to give tips and tools to how to shift your energy, shift your state of health and well-being, so that you can heal on a mind and body level. Every breakup brings a set of physical turmoil as much as it affects you on an emotional level. And this is why we need support on both levels.
So breakup affects both the individuals or just one, because there would be givers, right? A person who gives
I mean, a
lots and lots of
breakup is
love.
tough usually on everyone, but how do you react to the breakup? Do you decide to go through the healing process? Do you decide to dig in and see and take accountability of where, how did you contribute to the breakup? And if you want to really heal, it's a journey, and sometimes it's a painful journey.
But do you think both the partners would undergo the same kind of the pain?
Definitely not. It's related to their attachment, style of attachment. It's related to how they are looking at the breakup. Are we aware through the breakup that it's a good opportunity for us to heal and not repeat the cycle we've attracted in our life? Do we want to heal, shift our attachment style, our belief in how do we express love and how do we receive love? Are we deserving that love? Do we want to work on all of this so that we get a better experience of who we are and who we want to be? So this is where looking at Let's Get Real to Heal is looking at it from a perspective of a human being going through emotional challenges, physical challenges, and coming as a whole, as a person, and asking, how can I feel better? How can I become happier? How can I improve my immune system so that I can, prevent disease on long term? Because I want to choose myself. And it's so beautiful when after a breakup you say, I want to choose myself. And when you choose yourself in a very conscious way, then this is where the shift happens, and then you see life from a different perspective.
So you're going to guide individuals to self-discover themselves in this Wednesday program, right?
Wednesday program, I want to be there, and I want to open the doors to other therapists from other centers who feel like giving back and supporting individuals so that we create a community. We create a community where being there for each other, especially here in Dubai. Dubai is promoting well-being in a unique way. The Ministry of Happiness is doing everything possible in order to promote well-being at workplace, for local families, and it is being promoted in every direction. So transforming my space as an open space for therapists to come from other centers and join and just create a community where we're here to support and to give back, because each one of us has his own story, his own struggles. We have our own journey. And this is where bringing everything, and it's an open invitation to whoever wants to come.
So now that you say that it's giving back to the community, so it's free of charge?
Yes,
or like
definitely. It's just about wanting to be there.
So anybody who has a heartbreak or who is undergoing some difficult moments in their life, they can just come to us.
They can WhatsApp us, so we can just at least know the numbers, and we can see how many persons can we accommodate. And yes, definitely, it's free. It's just wanting to be there, not to promote anything. I mean, definitely we have our own workshops and stuff ongoing, but it won't happen on those Wednesdays.
This is just to be for them.
It's just because many times when I see clients going through this, and why on a Wednesday evening in the middle of the week when we need a recharge, we need a boost when we're going through grief, when we're going through hard times. So opening the center in that direction is just to be there for people and to just, promote the healing so that we can expedite the process and see each other and make our pain kind of like seen. Because in most cases, what we feel is that our pain is not heard, is not felt, is not seen. And this is part of the healing process, finding people who can see us in pain.
And also people can kind of resonate themselves with like-minded people. Exactly. And they can, come out of their problems.
Yeah, they can share what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and how they can really feel better and find guidance in that direction. That's it.
So what do you hope that the people will gain, as being a part of Philo Life, the services that you're going to offer, this campaign, and how do you think people will gain? And what do they gain? What are the key takeaways?
True. In fact, with this campaign, Let's Get Real to Heal, the idea is to bring online and on-site at Philo Life the access to tools and ways to heal in a holistic way. And this is where it is all about giving back. It's about sharing the journey. When it comes to Philo Life Wellbeing, I mean, when we go, even on the website, we can see that we have a set of workshops, whether it is regarding connecting to the body, just, learning how to connect to the body, how to listen to the body, how to release emotions on a physical level, how to manage your emotions. And we focus a lot on teenagers. And I would say that for me, preventing disease and creating a healthier community is all about starting at an early age. When parents spot their teenagers having identity crisis and starting to lose their self-confidence, self-worth, and going towards codependent traits, trying to please, this is where it is time to kind of like deal with it. So our workshops for teenagers are tailored to address these issues at an early age so that teenagers grow up and become the young, healthy generation that is able to connect within, to be real, to understand that it is not selfish when you choose self-care, but when you choose self-care, you're able to balance and give better to people around you. And at the same time, when we are able to question who we are at an early age, we are able to bring that balance on an emotional and physical level, learn tools, learn techniques to how to sit with myself, the need and the necessity to sit with ourselves. When it is taught to teenagers, they start really getting better results than adults because it's easier for them to access their subconscious mind. There are less issues, less beliefs, less complications.
True.
So this is where I would say, even when we focus on schools or extracurricular activities where we combine philosophy with mindfulness and life coaching for teenagers, it's because I think it's the key moment to be able to promote awareness about health so that we can prepare these young people for a better future. Yeah.
So, Dr. Joelle, it was really a pleasure talking with you, and this podcast, I'm sure it must be inspiring for many viewers. So, Doctor, what message do you want to convey to the viewers watching our podcast today?
So I would like to say that with Let's Get Real to Heal, it requires definitely courage, vulnerability to remove the mask and decide to live your life with authenticity so that you can open up to a healthier and happier life. If you have not taken that step, I would really encourage you to take that step and start investing in your own health and well-being by trying to understand who you are and how you're programmed to live on an autopilot mode at the moment so you can reprogram yourself to live the life you want. So the success of this campaign relies on your support. So if you would like to support our journey, use our hashtag Let's Get Real to Heal. Whenever you relate to the topic, whenever you want to share your emotions or your journey, and follow us on social media because we'll be posting the content that could benefit you. And we promise a content that is reliable, that is useful, and could help you understand more the holistic approach to health and well-being.
So do follow us on our social media channels and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, do comment your thoughts and views about this podcast. Thank you so much.